Okay, go live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to PolkaWorld broadcast. I'm Kristen. Today, we are excited to have an exclusive interview with Chrissy, CLO and COO of Parity Technology. Welcome, Chrissy.
Thank you so much for having me, Kristen. It's great to see you. I think the last time we caught up was in your part of the world. I'm now in London at the moment.
Yeah, we met in Singapore.
We did.
Yeah, and before our conversation, please allow me to introduce PolkaWorld a little bit. PolkaWorld is the Polkadot community in China dedicated to educating, marketing about everything related to Polkadot. So as the core contributor to Polkadot, Parity has played a crucial role in the early stages of its development and continues to drive adoption efforts. However, as a decentralized software, Polkadot inevitably encounters legal challenges. What are these issues and how is the regulatory process being handled? So that's why we invited Chrissy to be here today and it's a privilege to have you share insights with the community about legal aspects of Web3 and Polkadot's adoption strategies. So welcome to PolkaWorld again. And, first of all, could you start by introducing yourself briefly and explaining the role you play at Parity?
Sure. And first off, I want to say it's a privilege to be given the opportunity to speak to you, to speak via PolkaWorld, and to share some of my thoughts on, I think, a topic that we're going to see a lot more movement on in 2025, because I think there's been a lot said about the legal and regulatory state of our industry generally. And there's a difference between campaign rhetoric and what actually happens in real life. So we're going to see what happens in quite a number of countries around the world this year. So there was a World Economic Forum report that was put together in October of last year, and they surveyed about 80 countries all around the world. And of those 80 countries, 2/3 of them we're bringing in new legislation that will impact everything that we do in 2025. So when I joined Parity as the chief legal officer, and I'm now interim chief operating officer, it was very exciting for me because there wasn't a lot of law and regulation out there on what we do. And in the 3 years since I joined Parity, it's just exploded in terms of the legal and regulatory oversight. Some might say overreach in some cases. And my job at Parity is to help pave the way so that all the world-class engineers who work at Parity can focus on what they do best, and that is building. And myself and the team, which is called OS, Operational Support at Parity. And that covers all finance, legal, compliance, people, operations. We are always focusing on supporting our builders. So that's what I do at Parity, and that's what I'm focusing on really in 2025.
You joined Polkadot in January 2022, which already been 3 years. And I heard that you've done so much works in Parity, and I think it is totally different than before. So how has your 3-year journey at Parity been so far? How are your feelings?
Well, it certainly has not been boring, right? I can definitely say that. I joined again because from my perspective, the golden thread throughout my career is I always like to be on the forefront of law and regulation. And I found that in Web3. I found that with Parity. And I would just say sometimes be careful what you wish for, because it's been very, very busy, but definitely an intellectual challenge, meeting some of the best engineers in the world, working on the best tech in the world. So again, it's something that is really a highlight for me every day, and no day is the same.
Oh, and your legal background is world class.
Thank you.
After joining Parity, what legal and compliance efforts have you prioritized? What measures have you implemented to achieve them?
Sure. So, I mean, at heart, Parity is a software developer, right? So, when I first joined, I did a lot of just basic housekeeping. So, things that you would expect as the business as usual for a software company, such as looking at license, our philosophy in terms of licensing, patents, data privacy, policies and procedures, these core things that are actually quite foundational that we need to get right just for Parity. And then, of course, you can't be a member of the Polkadot ecosystem without also thinking much wider than Parity. Of course, I'm a lawyer, and I'm Parity's lawyer. It's important to say that, but a lot of the new exciting issues that we would deal with were related to decentralization, what that meant, what's the spectrum of decentralization, how can a decentralized entity interact with the real world, which is still learning about what we're building. And so between that and also supporting some of the really important projects that started off within Parity but have now spun out, like the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, which again is education related, and there are particular education related legal and compliance matters you have to think about. It's been quite a mixed bag, but of course the first focus was getting our approach to what we build absolutely sound. It was great before I joined, but Parity is about to celebrate its 10th birthday this year.
Oh, wow.
So it's always important to refresh and renew and make sure that what you're doing is fit for purpose.
Yeah, you've done a lot of work, but for the community members, I am a normal community members. We always hear about news about regulations and stuff, but to normal users, compliance often sounds like a broad term. When we talk about regulatories, we don't know what they are talking about. So
what does it mean?
Yeah, let's touch on this. When we talk about compliance in this context, in Web3 and this context, what specific areas are we referring to?
Sure. I think, compliance is one of those terms. It's a little bit like insurance or going to the dentist, right? These are things that you or putting in place a will, for instance. These are things that as adults, we all need to do and have, but are they fun? No, not really. Can they be a little bit boring? Sometimes, right? But are they important? Absolutely vital to get right, because of course jurisdictions around the world handle issues differently. That's the beauty of diversity of thought and cultural differences and a different view of the world. So there will be different requirements that the people and governments and businesses in different jurisdictions expect you, as offering something to them, they want to see that complied with, and just following the rules, being respectful where those rules exist. And so that's how I view compliance, right? It's about looking at the rules that are in place, or putting in place helpful rules, good regulation that promotes innovation, not stifles it. These are the things that focusing on compliance, yes, you want to make sure that you are abiding by the rules that are in place in whatever jurisdiction, but you also want to feed back to say, maybe this rule, like for instance, not to pick on the US, but the Securities Act are from 1933 and the Securities Exchange Act is from 1934. That was a long time ago. They could not possibly anticipate the level of innovation that we see today in the world that we're living in. So there's also room to, from a compliance point of view, suggest changes as well. And so that's what I like to focus on. It's not just tick the box, have I done this, have I done this, have I done this, but also strategic thinking about what the future holds.
And I think you've talked to a lot of, juries, in different countries. What are the most questions they ask you?
Well, what is this? What does it mean? Why do you use so many acronyms? Why don't people spell hold and build the right way? Because obviously there's some inside jokes within the blockchain community that people outside of that community don't understand. And also technology can be very intimidating to lots of people. Just, not everybody's comfortable with that. So I get questions ranging from, Chrissy, I can barely use my phone. I don't even know how to install apps. How am I supposed to understand what, a blockchain is and smart contracts? To much more educated audiences who want to get into the nitty gritty of, for instance, how a decentralized autonomous organization deals with third parties or trading different tokens and what that looks like, through to, the difference between stable coins and altcoins. So it's quite varied in terms of the questions I get. And I always try to think, I want to explain these concepts to, anyone on the street or in a pub, whether it's your mother or your father or your grandmother or your grandfather or whomever it is in your life, your children. You need to be able to speak at those different levels so they can understand the benefits that are inherent in what we do and why we're building an exciting future.
Well, let's delve into some concrete topics.
Yeah.
First, Polkadot is the largest DAO in the world. From a legal perspective. So how is a DAO defined? Does it bear legal responsibilities?
So I think Gav actually, in his end of year report, which if y'all haven't read that, it is definitely worth the read. You might have to read it twice in order to take in all the information. It is essential reading in my book. And I've told everybody on my teams that, I recommend really delving into it deeply. But it's not only the world's largest DAO, but the most sophisticated DAO as well. So that is certainly from a technical perspective as well, looking at it from a legal perspective. And there is a spectrum of decentralization that we see in protocols around the world. And we are definitely at the very, very decentralized end of that spectrum, which has always been intentional. So a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. And I always explain it as a community of people who come together in order to achieve a goal. Many times they will have a token that is like a financial way to achieve that goal. The community votes on how to achieve that goal, and then smart contracts help ensure that that decision that has been voted on by the community is enacted in a fair way and in a way that follows certain rules. And a great example is the Constitution DAO. I think it's used in a lot of different contexts, which a bunch of people got together in the States to try to buy a copy of the U.S. Constitution. And that was their stated goal and objective. And it didn't end up happening, but it was a great kind of early example of people coming together to achieve something specific. Obviously, Polkadot is much wider than that, scaling up and out and every which way, and really pushing the boundaries of governance, decentralization, and in terms of legal liability as well. So right now, the concept of a DAO obviously means that it's a community. So there's not like one person who has direct responsibility. That again is intentional. There's not a physical address where you can send invoices to or anything like that. But the rest of the world and businesses in the world want to have someone they can talk to, an address, and an understanding that if things go wrong, that there is a place to go to fix those things. So last year in 2024, the Polkadot Community Foundation was set up in about June. We're still working through the operating model of that, but I think of it as a DAO execution vehicle. So it's an entity that's been set up in the Cayman Islands to represent the DAO, represent the Treasury, help enact decisions that have been voted upon, and to give third parties from, outside in the world, outside of the blockchain world, a point of contact that they can come to in order to sign a contract with, send invoices to engage with. So it's still a concept that we're working through, and I think you'll see a lot of exciting developments in 2025.
Wow, I think it's a way that to help Web2 worlds understand Web3.
Absolutely. It's essential. It's essential. And also quite human, really. I think it's very a natural human reaction to want to know that there's another human on the other end of a line or an email, especially when things are maybe not going as well as you want them to, or at the beginning of the relationship when you're trying to establish trust, that there is someone else there who is available.
Okay, can I understand like this? Is the, for example, they want to do something to Polkadot, they will find this company directly.
So how it's working now is that, if there is a proposal that the Treasury votes on, or that the community votes on, and the Treasury is allocating funds towards, that in some cases, there will need to be a third party entering into a contract, right? So let's say that we can use the Polkadot mobile app as an example, right? So there needs to be an entity representing Polkadot that enters into terms of use with Apple in order to put an app on the Apple Store, or, with Google, for instance, so that an app can be available. And Apple and Google don't want to enter into and can't enter into contracts with a DAO. They need a company to enter into those contracts with. And that is an example of what the Polkadot Community Foundation, the PCF, would do. Right. So they're in, and basically the community has said, we want this app. Polkadot Community Foundation, will you help us bring that to life? And then that's what the Polkadot Community Foundation will do. Act as that intermediary between Web 2 and Web 3 to bring to life what the community has voted on.
Yeah, this is really great. That because we want a Web3 to understand us, we have to, according to their, logic to do some stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And, of course, we have a different vision of the world and a different philosophy. And we know like the digital world that we're working towards within Web3 and within Polkadot. but we're still a small percentage of the world. Right? So there's a whole great big wide world out there that is learning more and is becoming more accepting. I think we've definitely seen that over the last 3 years, but they still have a ways to go. So I see this as reaching out our hand to those not in the Web3 world to say, yeah, come with us, try this out, let's see how we work together. And then can move on to more advanced concepts once a trust is established and people feel comfortable with what we're talking about and what we're building and where we want to go.
Yeah, and I think that's going to set up an example, for other Web3 DAOs to do, how to community with Web2.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's still true to our fundamental philosophy of, being very focused on decentralization, right? Because we are still very much focused on what the community has voted upon and making that come to life. And I say we, although, I interact with the Polkadot Community Foundation and work well with them, I'm still looking at this from a Parity point of view. And of course, Parity would be helping build, for instance, aspects of that Polkadot app. So is Nova Sama, different members of the ecosystem, and they're all focusing on the Polkadot Community Foundation in order to be the umbrella to help bring this into being.
Yeah, and the Parity really, Parity was the driving force, in its early development, in Polkadot's early development, and so on. So, Parity before was, the driving force, and now the OpenGov is taking over a lot the development stuff. So, what role does Parity currently play, and what are its primary areas of focus?
So in 2024, Parity started to take on a more lean and more focused model. I think that was very important in our development. We really emphasize the delivery of core technology, important tooling and metrics. And we decided that really we should leave functions like content, business development, and applications to the community. And that resulted in some changes at Parity. And working with the Web3 Foundation and a lot of amazing members of the ecosystem, I think we have seen over 2024 that those activities such as content and business development and apps are really being done by the ecosystem, by the people who do them best, while we're doing what we do best, which is that core technology and important tooling and important metrics, and just really focusing on that. So yeah, it's a period of adjustment when you make changes like that. But I think it's true to, again, our concept of decentralization and our commitment to that, and also impacts and just elevates not just Parity and our skills, but also other members of the ecosystem and their skill set.
Wow, cool. And Parity removed the marketing from Parity, and you are kind of a COO which is operating. So would you work on the marketing stuff, or because operating is relevant to the marketing stuff in some experience?
And listen, Parity, our world-class engineers are developing these amazing things, and they are the experts. So we are very, very involved still in that content creation, but from a different perspective. And that is being the experts providing the information that then needs to be marketed in the right way. So we, are definitely still focused on content, still helping providing the information. We still have ideas. I mean, you've seen Sean Tabrizi over 2024 and his brainchild of Polkadot Cloud versus Polkadot Hub. And so we're all still very active. But there's a difference between that being housed within Parity and actually us being a contributor. And I think that's where we are, where you've seen a pivot in how Parity operates. And so from my perspective, we have a really good, really solid group of experts who still are, the product marketing experts, internal comms experts, and also external comms experts. And we work together with the talent in the ecosystem to get the message really, really clear, not just for Parity, but also for Polkadot.
Yeah, really, I love the article that Parity delivered because I just saw a speech that, it's GEM is hard for me to understand. I'm not non-technical guy.
I think it's hard for I think it's, it's, really something special. Again, 2024, a huge year for Gav, taking that on the road. It's been, the paper has been updated and refined, and so many people working on it to deliver it. I think it's going to be exciting to see what happens next. But I am not technical either. And I find it very difficult as well at that technical level, but I can see the benefits and what we're working towards. And I understand the vision, and it's absolutely the right way to go. And so far ahead, I think of so many different protocols out there that, it's the right path. It is the future. It's where we all need to be going.
Yeah. I really love the work Parity have already done, because from the articles you are delivering, all the speeches, you guys deliver, I can understand GEM, the total logic very easily. So that's really helpful for me.
It's translated well. And I think, again, they've done it at a number of levels. And I just say, but, talk to me like I'm 12 years old. and that's okay. Of course, we underestimate, all of us being part in the community, our own kind of understanding and knowledge, because if all of us are around these concepts constantly reading about them, and it can feel intimidating to us. Imagine how people outside Parity and Polkadot feel. But I always feel that on matters such as this, really, when you pick up your phone, do I really need to understand how all the different component parts work together, where they came from in the world, how they're put together, and, all the tech behind it? It would be nice if I did, but I, also am not an expert in those fields. And I think that's okay, because we all bring our different skill sets to the Polkadot community. And that's where, with the ambassador program, the new ambassador fellowship that's just been launched and is in the process of being launched right now, I think we're really wanting to focus on all the different skill sets that people can bring to Polkadot to be, I don't want to use the term evangelical, but, some might see it that way, but just really good proponents of Polkadot and what we're building, and talk to different communities to make it come alive to them in our own ways, and using words that will resonate with those communities so they see the benefits. And that's where a diversity of thought is really, really important for all of us to bring, and to be proud that we bring it, and not try to intrude upon areas where maybe we don't have the technical expertise. So that is something I think the ambassador program, if anyone watching is interested in getting more involved and feel like maybe they're not technical enough, I would say, please, if you're passionate about Polkadot, please be encouraged to participate and encouraged to tell others about why you're passionate about Polkadot. And you don't necessarily need a deep technical understanding of, for instance, JAM in order to be able to do that effectively and positively.
Yeah, tell us more about the ambassador program, who can join and when they can apply and what they're doing.
Well, the ambassador program really, so it's a fellowship similar to the technical fellowship, and there's a manifesto available, and there's also some. There were a number of AAGs and live stream sessions at the end of last year, taking people through the process. Lucy Colden and Don Diego Sanchez are two people who they're really spearheading this. And essentially, we're right in the middle of looking at applications right now. So the first round, and the deadlines have passed for this first round, but there will be more coming up. So what I can do is ask Lucy and Don Diego to reach out to you, Kristen, give you more information, and maybe come on and talk about what people are expecting from the Ambassador Fellowship going forward and what they hope to deliver. I am part of the advisory board, and I am hoping to be an ambassador myself in the future and actually selected as one, because there's different levels of ambassadors. And I'm very excited about this Ambassador 3.0, because we've tried it before in the past. It hasn't worked like we wanted it to, but I think the third time's the charm with this, and anybody can apply. So,
wow, I'm happy too. But by the way, did I get it wrong that the ambassador can get paid as well, right? Like salaries.
Yeah, I mean, there is a potential for funding, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and all of that is being worked out at the moment. So there will be more information to come.
Cool. Very looking forward to it. Let's talk about the adoption. Polkadot 1.0 had a high developer, entry threshold, which impacted its adoption. We all know that. And now with Polkadot 2.0 launched and JAM set for 2025, what strategies is Parity employing to promote broader adoption of Polkadot?
Well, this is actually very timely because, Pierre Aubert, Parity's head of engineering, just put out his company-wide 2025 message just a couple days ago. And it was really focusing on what Parity would be delivering in order to, as he said, make the developer experience awesome. Right? So that is our mantra, really, within Parity for 2025. And some of the key initiatives that we are focusing on, and there's a whole list, and I won't bore you with a detailed tech roadmap. And also, Pierre would be, again, a great person to talk about this, or any of the Parity tech leads. But Plaza, Polkadot Hub, is something that we're really, really focusing on, because we want to make it easy to start on Polkadot via a mix of data, whether it's assets or staking, and also capabilities like EVM smart contracts. And we want to encourage developers to embrace it. So we're thinking with Distractive and others within the ecosystem about, again, the messaging that needs to go out before the middle of the year, which is when Plaza is slated to be shipped. Well, I say that, but that's not actually not the right way to think about it, because it is a variety of things. It's not just one thing, and you're not really building on Plaza, right? Because it's a variety of things coming together. But mid-year is when we hope all that work is completed. So more to come on that. Please watch this space. The messaging will be ramping up as we head to the middle of the year. Then OmniNode and the Polkadot development or deployment platform is another key initiative that Parity is going to be focusing on. And it's really a one-click deployment. And I think that's a solution that is really going to simplify things. And I think everyone will benefit from that development and, that change to deployment. It will be quick. It will be easy. It will be straightforward and very, very intuitive. So also, we want to focus this year at Parity on producing really solid documentation. That's something that in partnership with Paper Moon, we are going to be really focusing on documentation, cleaning up websites, taking care of SEO. This is all things that we need to do. So, and also focusing on lowering the block time. So all of these things will come together. It's never just one thing. It's always a jigsaw that we're trying to put together in order to deliver something that is resilient, reliable, and scalable. And that is something within Parity. Again, we're always talking about shatterproof technology, supporting our robust community, focusing on governance, and really, looking at what we could do better and how we can improve. So those are some of the 2025 highlights that people can be watching out for.
Wow, cool. And the Plaza part, I love it very well because developers now can easily deploy their dApps and very quick and very fast, like deploying on other very fast layer ones like Solana and Sui.
I think it's an essential development. And Joe Petrovsky and his team within Parity are working very, very hard on that. And certainly Joe is the expert, and I would defer to him on any of the details related to all of the work on that particular topic. But it's exciting stuff, and people are very, very hard at work on it.
Yeah, and PolkaWorld translated and write some original articles. And if the audience like to know more about Plaza and what you can do on Plaza, you can check the article on our platform.
Wonderful. Oh, that's fantastic. That's great to know. So it's a translated version of Joe's blog. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Oh, well, I'll have to let Joe know then if he doesn't already, and that's available, because I think it's, again, essential reading. I would add that to Gav's 2024 Polkadot Roundup that we talked about there.
Oh, cool. We did a lot of translation of the Joyce speeches and something.
Great. Good to know that the library exists and it's easily accessible. So thank you for doing that. I think that's important.
Okay. Finally, could you share your key priorities of 2025? Because you've touched on the highlights of Parity in the whole. So what's your key priorities in 2025?
Well, for me as an individual, I am always looking to get involved in the ecosystem more and ensure that I understand what people care about, and whether it's what they care about building or what they care about talking about in terms of engaging with the outside world, or what is just happening on a day-to-day basis with the individuals who make our community so vibrant and interesting. So I'll be focusing on that. You'll see me around more. Like I said, I'm hoping to become an ambassador myself. And I think my first foray also into the outside world, which is something I don't want to forget about, will be at ETH Denver. I'm doing a keynote on the 27th of February. So more details to come on that. But I'm very excited to be on stage there and being able to represent the community as best as I can in the areas that I focus on more. So I also think that this year around the world, maybe particularly in the US, there will be more opportunities that present themselves for the industry. And, one of my mottos for this year is actually inspired by Sun Tzu, who said, opportunities multiply when you seize them. So I will be focusing on seizing the opportunities that arise to talk about Polkadot, to talk about the fact that we have the best tech and have our eye to the future, and also talk about good regulation and what that looks like. And then finally, I will also be focusing on living our parity values, really, both internally within Parity, but also externally, because they really resonate with me. And we have 4. They are: 1, we are free, but accountable. 2, we are excellent, but we're also humble about being excellent. 3, we're very, very curious, but we're not distracted. We're focused, right? So you can be curious about things, but still focused on delivery. And number 4, we are involved, but thoughtful, right? So we are always thinking strategically. So those were the things I'm going to be looking towards in my professional world. And then also personally in 2025, I've got a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old, and just trying to keep up with them in the context of all this exciting development and change and the digital world that we're creating really for that next generation.
Okay, cool. Very exciting. And also welcome back to PolkaWorld to share your updates for everything in 2025.
And what are your priorities for 2025? I would love to know.
I really love to educate the community more about GEM. I really love the GEM idea, and Gavin is coming to China in February, and we will arrange the tour, the GEM tour in China for universities. And I think after the launch of the GEM, there will be a boom for the Polkadot because it's fast, it's very easy to deploy, and I cannot find a reason that why developers don't love Polkadot. So so our expertise is educating. So we will try our best to do a lot of work, like writing some good articles and translating some very important stuff, and try to connecting the KOLs in Polkadot ecosystem to talk to the community, to let the community know the GEM stuff. So I really want to see what happens after GEM. So I think my priority in 2025 is to try my best to let communities knows about GEM.
Well, I think that is a really smart, insightful, and important priority to focus on this year. So whatever we can do to help support you, please let me know.
Wow, thank you. Okay, thank you, Chrissy, for sharing your valuable insights with us today. It's been a truly enlightening conversation. We are grateful for your time and expertise in addressing the legal challenges and adoption strategies surrounding Polkadot. And I think your perspective have given our community a clear understanding of Parity's role and the regulatory landscape and exciting development ahead for Polkadot. We're looking forward to see how the vision for 2025 unfolds.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
Watch this space, and it is, as I said, a privilege to be on PolkaWorld and speaking to you today. So thank you for the opportunity, and looking forward to what 2025 has to bring for all of us. It won't be boring. That is for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Chrissy, and see you next time.
Absolutely. Until next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.